Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed today's lunch. My name is Anjana Govindarajan. I'm a CSPC Program Committee volunteer, and I work as an evaluation officer in Health Canada. We are about to participate in an interactive panel titled Foster European Partnerships, Learn about International Matchmaking and Partnership Building Services. This panel is organized by University of Ottawa. Please don't forget to tweet about your favorite events and panels at the conference using @Science Policy and hashtag CSPC 2023. Finally, please don't forget to fill out the evaluation survey for this session in the program app. Your feedback is important to us to help us make CSPC even better next year. I hope you enjoy this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anjana. And thank you to the CSPT committee for having us. Merci à tous. Déjà, good afternoon et bonjour à toutes et à tous. Merci de nous rejoindre dans ce deuxième jour de conférence. My name is Clotilde Ribaud. I'm a senior advisor international research within the International Research Experiential Learning Team at the Office of the Vice President Research and Innovation at the University of Ottawa. And I have the pleasure to moderate this panel dedicated to the scientific cooperations between Europe and Canada. So as you can see, many panelists join me on stage. It just gives you an overview of how complex our international research. L'idée de départ vraiment qui est venue pour ce panel, c'est venu de nombreuses discussions entre beaucoup de panélistes ici sur les challenges, les nombreux défis et les barrières que l'on doit surmonter quand on travaille à l'international. It is not an easy task to connect diverse partners coming from different horizons. For example, a private sector with academia working at very different timing. Or even to businesses working in two different cultures. And when it comes to European Union, it's about 27 cultures different. So here today, I will give the floor to those who work daily, very hard to make sure that this partnership are successful. So without further ado, let me introduce our different panelists today who's going to share their extensive experience on international collaborations between the European Union and Canada. Tout d'abord, je souhaite vous présenter le Dr Mona Nemer, conseillère scientifique en chef du Canada. Dr. Nemer is a globally recognized champion of Canadian science. She was a professor and a leader in the field of molecular cardiology, and she has served on various national and international advisory committees and boards. Today, Dr. Nemer will join as the Canada's Chief of Science Advisor, a role that where she was first appointed in 2017. Thank you very much, Dr. Nemer, for joining us. Je tiens à remercier son Excellence, l'ambassadeur de France au Canada, M. Michel Miraillet, diplomate de carrière. M. Miraillet a occupé de nombreux postes à haute responsabilité au sein de divers ministères en France, actuellement au sein du ministère de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères, et précédemment auprès de ministères français de la Défense. Il nous rejoint aujourd'hui pour partager sa grande expérience dans la mondialisation et les coopérations internationales en tant que représentant d'un État membre de l'Union européenne. Merci, Monsieur l'ambassadeur, pour votre présence. Coming from Europe, et tout particulièrement de la très belle ville de Bruxelles, please welcome Dr. Mary Kavanagh, a senior expert in the global approach and international cooperation directorate of DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission. And Dr. Kavanagh is joining us today to present the large funding program, Horizon Europe. Thank you, Dr. Kavanagh. It is my pleasure to introduce one of the panelists who was involved at the beginning of this panel. Please welcome Britta Baron, President of the European Canadian Centre for Innovation and Research, an organization located in Edmonton. And Britta shares a career between Europe and Canada, and she will generously share her experience on connecting partners, either in research and innovation between Europe and Canada. Merci, Britta. Well, as scientists, many of us are scientists, we definitely want to show you some data. And for this, Professor Fernando Angulo Ruiz is joining us. Dr. Angulo Ruiz is a full professor in the Department of International Business Marketing Strategy and Law at Macquarie University, and is joining us today to present an exclusive study he realized in 2022. Thank you, Fernando. Well, when you talk about collaboration, scientific collaboration, obviously everybody thinks about the large research center in Canada, the NRC. And for this, I would like to thank Eric Oldrinet for being here today, coming from Montreal. Eric Oldrinet joined the National Research Council of Canada Industrial Research Assistant Program, very well known at NRC IRAP. As an industrial technology advisor, he has a tremendous experience as a coordinator for different programs, including Eureka and Eurostar, which are international programs, and he will be the voice of the NRC today representing Eureka program. Merci, Eric. And the last but not the least, please welcome Dr. Deria Bukhtanir Karakan. Please, a regional coordinator at the Araxis North America and researcher and professional lecturer at the Elliott School of International Affairs at George Washington University. Huge experience since she's focusing her research on science policy, science diplomacy, and the European Union, and she will be the voice of Araxis North America today. Thank you very much. So a long presentation, I know, but like I said, we want to give you very large scope, because when you talk about scientific cooperation, you can do connection between researchers, you can do innovation between Europe. And that's why we all, one by one, will give you really an overview of what exists and what are the challenges we are facing in 2023. To begin, whenever we gather for an important event in Canada, and at least at the University of Ottawa, where I am, it is our custom to offer an Indigenous affirmation. So, in support of the principal reconciliation. So I would like to start by acknowledging that we are here today in Ottawa under the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people, that we are the traditional guardians of this land. Nous rendons hommage à toutes les personnes autochtones qui habitent Ottawa, qu'elles soient de la région ou d'ailleurs au Canada. Nous reconnaissons les gardiens et gardiennes des savoirs traditionnels de tout âge, and we honor their courageous leaders, past, present, and future. So we know that collaboration across organizational and cultural boundaries extends the possibility of discovery. Both the European Union and Canada have understood the immense value to invest on international collaborations. And the worldwide pandemic that we lived a couple of years ago just remind us all the huge importance of staying connected with trusted partners and sharing knowledge. So in the light of this period, what are the lessons to be learned? Et en 2023, où en sont les relations entre les différents acteurs des coopérations, qu'ils soient le gouvernement, les universités, les chercheurs, les étudiants? Et je me tourne vers le docteur Mona Nemer pour nous éclairer sur l'état des lieux des relations entre le Canada et l'Union européenne en 2023.
Bien, merci Clotilde, mais c'est toute une commande que vous me faites là. Premièrement, c'est un honneur d'être sur ce panel avec les collègues et surtout avec son Excellence, l'ambassadeur de France.
Boris Less.
Non, mais écoutez, je reviens justement de la France où j'ai participé avec plusieurs collègues au sommet polaire. Un domaine, bien sûr, où le Canada est déjà très engagé dans des collaborations avec plusieurs pays européens et plusieurs pays de l'Union européenne. Donc, c'est un plaisir pour moi. Puis, c'est évident que, vous l'avez déjà mentionné, que nos défis planétaires sont de plus en plus complexes et qu'il s'agisse de la situation politique, socio-économique, environnementale et j'en passe. Je crois que travailler ensemble devient de plus en plus urgent. So in taking on these challenges, I think the need for science has never been greater, and the need for working together to finding and deploying solutions has never been more pressing. So in addition to helping us find viable solutions, science as an objective and universal language can also help us promote people-to-people understanding and peace, and I think it's a good time to reflect on this these days. So as such, science can be a cornerstone both for diplomacy and for economic development. I think we're all well aware that Prime Minister Trudeau is expected to welcome the EC President Ursula von der Leyen and the European Council President Charles Michel later this month. So our conversation today is extremely timely, I would say. So Canada and the EU both have a lot to gain from strengthening our science and technology relations, building, of course, on long-standing bilateral but also multilateral collaborations. So the EU, probably many people know this in the audience, is Canada's second most important trading partner and is a priority partner for science, technology, and innovation. In fact, 7 of Canada's top 10 research partners are within the European research area, with 5 being EU 27 members. These alliances stand to benefit as Canada prioritizes strategic partnership with the EU in areas of emerging technologies, including batteries, critical minerals, artificial intelligence, and quantum technologies. And of course, I'm not mentioning the energy transition, which is an obvious one. In October last year, the European Union and Canada, through NSERC, announced 3 jointly supported quantum research projects that will address many technological and societal challenges in ways that our countries could not otherwise achieve separately. And yesterday, a joint call between NSERC and France ANR was launched in the area of quantum sciences. Facilitating our collaboration is being done in a number of ways. So within Canada, there are several government instruments, including the Canada-EU S&T agreement that was formed in 1996, the Eureka network, to which Canada's participation is managed through NRC, and I think which we'll hear more from, the CAN Export Program to support Canadian SMEs seeking market opportunities in Europe, the cluster collaboration arrangement signed in 2019, and of course, Horizon Europe, which we will also be discussing hopefully today. Donc, outre ces mécanismes, le ministre de l'Innovation, de la Science et de l'Industrie, M. Champagne, a annoncé plus tôt cette année la création d'un comité mixte sur la science et la technologie entre le Canada et la France. Ce comité a déjà identifié des priorités thématiques pour la coopération franco-canadienne, du moins pour les 2 prochaines années, et travaille à l'élaboration de cadres et feuilles de route pour dynamiser les collaborations en recherche et innovation dans des secteurs clés, dont la santé, les océans, les énergies renouvelables, mais aussi le français et le plurilinguisme en sciences. J'ai l'honneur de coprésider le comité de direction de ce COMIX, mais je crois que l'ambassadeur va souhaiter s'exprimer plus longuement sur ce sujet et donc je vais lui laisser le soin d'en dire ce qu'il veut. Donc, ce comité a pris un excellent départ, très prometteur pour la promotion de la diversité, de l'ouverture dans le domaine scientifique, ainsi que pour la résolution des grands défis mondiaux auxquels nous sommes confrontés. As someone who has lived and worked in several different countries, including France, and who has educated students from around the world, I know firsthand the value of bringing together diverse perspectives, building on each other's findings, and sharing tools and infrastructure. And this is precisely what international collaborations facilitate. When we work together across borders, we enable synergies, we accelerate progress, and we maximize public investment in research. Transnational collaboration can also streamline our efforts to translate discoveries into benefits to all, because our partnerships bring to the forefront the most advanced research, investments, and best practices from our respective countries. Beyond that, as I said, science can and should remain a formidable diplomatic tool that we use between Canada and the EU, but also between Canada and EU on the multilateral and global front. So going forward, we need everyone and all sectors to play a role. We need universities to train and attract top talent. We need governments to strategize and facilitate international collaborations. And we need industry to scale up and commercialize innovations. So I think back to what you said, this is not an easy task, but it's definitely not an insurmountable issue. I think we learned during the pandemic to work across borders, to work across sectors, and there are many good lessons learned on our capacity to do so. So with this, I think I'm going to close and look forward to hearing the ideas, the data that everybody wants to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I would like to follow up on something is, as you can see, we have many agreements between many organizations, either funding, for example, ENSERC, for example, you notice with ANR in France. So these are the stepping stones, this agreement between the government to push the science. But I was wondering, and I will ask Monsieur l'Ambassadeur a question, because as a scientist, we are very curious, and this is something that has been spoken already during the CSPC. If we ask the other way around, what can science do to help politicians? Donc la question vraiment, ce serait, dans votre rôle, dans votre grande expérience de diplomate, est-ce que vous avez justement déjà expérimenté ça? C'est à savoir comment les collaborations scientifiques peuvent finalement renforcer les relations institutionnelles et éventuellement, voire influencer les politiques.
Oui, merci d'abord pour votre intention, votre invitation et le plaisir d'être à la gauche de mon année-mère.
Je suis à votre droite.
Oui, c'est moi qui suis à gauche. Je voudrais dire que l'une des choses les plus difficiles lorsqu'on est ambassadeur de France au Canada, c'est qu'on a toujours l'impression qu'on connaît le pays parce que la relation est une relation extraordinairement dense, longue et j'allais dire en apparence facile. Mais lorsqu'on arrive ici, ce qui surprend et ce qui fait un effet considérable, c'est la vitalité du monde universitaire et du monde de la recherche. There's a kind of discrepancy between, what you can find in universities, wherever it may be, in Quebec, in Alberta, or elsewhere, and the sense of prudence of the government. You have a vitality you don't see sometimes in other parts of the economic world in Canada. And for us, it was like a kind of revelation, and the need to work on that and to build on this issue, which is in a kind of now the jewel of the crown in Canada. We can talk at length about, gas exports or, wheat exports or elsewhere, or Bombardier's success in the aerospace industry. This is not the issue. The issue is now that on IA, on quantum, and on many other aspects, in Canadian universities and laboratories are just at the top. And what we French are interested in is to run into that. Because we see a parallel, the dimension of the laboratories, the way they are functioning, the fact that between the different researchers, those links already exist. But the big question is not to make decisions for the laboratories, it's just to see how can we augment, how can we provide some new fuels in order to develop that? I mean, France, as you may know, is one of the leading players in research in Europe. I mean, we have 1,500 projects funded by the European Research Council since 2007, and we rank second behind Germany. But I mean, we are the fourth country in the world for the number of Nobel Peace Prize. We are the second in terms of number of medal fields. I mean, we are the perfect partner for this country. And it has been recognized as such. And I mean, we had, of course, I mean, last April, we have a big chance in France. Our Minister for Higher Education and Research is a researcher and a top one. And I remember, I mean, conversation I had with her, I mean, a few months ago when she was telling me, I will go and see my old friends in Laval University. And I told her, I mean, good, go to Sherbrooke, good. But have you ever been to Toronto University or to PI or to what's the name of it? I mean, Waterloo, yeah, I prefer to forget it. But
Small town.
no, boys will be boys, you know. So I mean, no. What I want, I mean, and she told me, "Are you sure? You sure?" And I must say, I just carpet bombed her by saying, I mean, continue to have those relationships with Quebec universities. I mean, it's great, but just open your eyes. And maybe go to U Calgary, to UBC, to U Toronto, or to U Ottawa. And she came, and Mona was there. I mean, and she's still now fascinated by what she saw. I mean, and the kind of cooperation she was, I mean, ready to do. I mean, her interaction. Don't ask me to talk about IA. I mean. Or quantum, you know, I mean, that I'm very bad at that. But I mean, she found the right language, the right position, and for us, I mean, it's like a fantastic booster. And that's why, I mean, in this context, we launched this joint committee, I mean, and which is a very promising one for the moment, thanks to the leadership of my neighbor on my right. And I must say, what we are looking for is just to speed up process, identify new era of cooperation, and I think that what we need to do is to continue to grow stronger, both in terms of support for joint research team and for innovation players. And the word innovation is very important in that regard. So. Maintenant, ce que nous cherchons, c'est effectivement de renforcer l'utilisation de ce comité conjoint, de ce COMIX, pour renforcer nos projets en matière d'innovation, d'adaptation de la science aux besoins du monde moderne. C'est ce que nous essayons de faire, nous, Français, avec le gouvernement canadien, avec le Into Innovation Programme, on en reparlera peut-être plus tard, soutenu par le ministère de l'Éducation et de la Recherche français, mais aussi par le ministère de l'Industrie, des Sciences et du Développement économique de François-Philippe Champagne. But one more time, we see that we Canadians and French, we share the same vision of a scientific diplomacy that makes research in innovation the priority areas for responding to the major challenges of today's world. And if there is an example to quote, I mean, this is the GPI. Because, I mean, there's something common between France and Canada at the level of researchers. I mean, this is the kind of education, maybe it's a part of the French heritage, or let me have some Gallic arrogance in this debate, but I mean, science, yes, but science with a conscience, la science avec une conscience. Et là, faire de l'intelligence artificielle, le souhait de faire en sorte que cette intelligence artificielle se développe au profit du monde moderne, mais pas contre l'individu, est au cœur de nos réflexions. Et c'est quelque chose au sein du G7 ou du G20 qui est très franco-canadien et que nous devons poursuivre. Cette affaire de GPI, enfin de PMIA, à l'acronyme français, est d'une importance fondamentale parce que il amènera d'autres partenariats du même modèle à l'avenir, par exemple dans le domaine du quantum, de ces nouveaux ordinateurs stupéfiants et dont on n'a toujours pas, j'allais dire, évalué les conséquences potentielles pour notre façon de vivre à l'avenir. Voilà. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Thank you so much. So I heard a lot of the word innovation, and I think one of the way of doing innovation is connecting either researchers together, but also companies together. And many people on the panelists, we are not at the diplomacy level. We are on est sur le terrain, and we are asking a lot of questions, how to improve this collaboration. I think the best way of doing it is asking the actors. And this is exactly what Professor Fernando Angulo Ruiz have done it. So I will give him the floor to show, he's about to show you a study. He's going to reveal for the first time, I think. So, and he's going to show you what Albertian SMEs company are looking for when they want to work at the international level. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you. So this. I think I'm going to use this. Okay. So thank you, Clotilde, for the introduction. So it's a pleasure to be here, and hello, everyone. So as Clotilde mentioned, I am a professor in the School of Business at McEwan University in Edmonton, Alberta. And today I will highlight some of the key findings and implications of research collaboration between the European Canadian Centre for Innovation and Research, ECCIR in short, and my university. So my research team, composed by Dr. Muralit Haran, Dr. Ali Taleb, Sam Ratan, Tamru, and myself worked diligently and independently on this project. And I will present an overview of the methodology we followed, highlight some of the key results. I have been given only 10 minutes, so I cannot go too much in depth. Key results on international partnerships, challenges and future priorities and opportunities, as well as some policy implications. So the guiding question of this study was how does internationalization help develop innovation capabilities of Albertan small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs in short. So we are now going to move, mindfully and mentally, to the western part of Canada. So from November 2022 to February 2023, we invited 1,190 SMEs based in Alberta to participate in our study. So we built our sampling frame from different sources, including Start Alberta, ECCIR, Black Canadian Women in Action, and the Trade Accelerator Program from the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. So our final sample includes 100 business owners and key decision makers of small businesses based in the province of Alberta. After several rounds and incentives provided, this is what we got. So these companies are on average, so that you have additional background on the respondents, 9 years of age. They have invested on average of 44% of their sales in research and development. The international sales represent an average of 52% of the total sales. And these sample companies participate in different sectors, so they are not concentrated only in one sector. So let's get to some of the findings, and let's focus on international partnerships now. So 65%, and this was a big surprise for us, of participants reported that the companies have international partners, right? So again, we're talking about companies in Alberta, right? This sample is from Albertan companies. So, and the kind of international partners, or partnerships that they have are a number of them. 34% reported to have innovation partnerships, which include, for instance, partnerships to develop new products, to improve the quality and relevance of existing products. 33% reported to have technology development partnerships, around technical expertise, IT system integration, for instance. And 24% reported to have business development partnerships, such as marketing capacity partnerships, reseller partnerships, licensing agreements. And then another part of this exploratory study, I should say, is where are those international partners located? We ask a number of different questions here, and this slide focuses on strategic partners, and strategic partners are located in different countries. So the US is a key location, surprise. I mean, we all know about this. It's an important partner of Canada. However, something that we didn't expect, is that Europe, as a group of countries, is also an important location of international partners for companies based in Alberta, right? Then, where are the most important international customers located? Again, a number of countries are reported by this sample of companies, but the majority are concentrated in the US, and again, Europe, came up as another strategic partner, especially from the perspective of the demand, right? International customers. And then suppliers. In relation to the location of international suppliers, again, the concentration is in the US. So US, as you can see, is all over the place in terms of location. We know that, but Europe as well, and China, as you can imagine from the supply side perspective. Right. So, and then the other aspects that we wanted to know is what are some of the most significant challenges business owners face when searching for international partners. So this was an open-ended question. So what we did is we themed 53 challenges into 6 major categories. So, and companies that experienced the process of having an international partner completed this question, right? So they are experiencing that process, so they can tell us what was their learning. So, and finding the right partner was a significant challenge for them. And this include challenges such as, access to key decision makers, setting meetings, identifying the right partner, among other aspects. And another challenge, that in a way is related to finding the right partner, was trust, reliability, and compatibility building. And this includes, finding background information, building trust, finding trusted partners, and vetting partners, for instance. And another challenge, as you can see in the slide, included supply chain issues, access to funding, navigating regulatory systems, and communication, culture, and language. So what are the future priorities and opportunities to receive support for international collaboration? So again, we received a number of priorities here in this question, 89 to be specific, which we categorize into 9 groups. And again, the whole issue around partnerships and finding partners, specifically finding the most appropriate and compatible partner, was not only a challenge, as I mentioned earlier, but also a future priority for businesses, in the sample from Alberta. And other priorities include funding, business development, navigating regulatory systems, and other priorities that you can read in the slide. Right. So what are some of the implications here of all these findings at this moment, right? So one of the implications, obviously, that we need to provide to Canadian companies to internationalize their operations is incentives. Every business needs incentives. Financial and non-financial incentives. For instance, federal and provincial governments should provide incentives such as tax subsidies, import and duty exemptions on innovations, innovative products that are the results of technology partnerships, for instance, with European or other partners. As well, we need to provide those businesses, and subsidize developmental costs such as travel expenses, for instance, for companies taking initiatives to develop partnerships with foreign companies. So in some provinces like Alberta, we currently have the Alberta Expansion Program, but probably we need more of that across the country. As well, policies related to liberal financing rates, that will help easy access to finance and liberal payback terms, especially if international partnerships lead to specific outputs such as foreign direct investments. As well, federal and provincial governments should also provide more incentives to develop international partnerships. This seems to be an important theme, out of this exploratory study. The U.S. is no longer the only market for partners, customers and suppliers, especially in the context of Albertan SMEs, and so Europe is also an important destination. Development, the facilitation of the development of absorptive capacities, learning capabilities of SMEs is also critical to help them, minimize that painful points that they experience when they are searching for international partners. Probably will be another implication here. And as well as governments, should provide financial support to organizations that assist small and medium-sized enterprises to connect with the right international partners in Europe, in the US, and elsewhere. Partnerships are key mechanisms for the acquisition of relevant information, which in turn will propel SMEs' innovation outputs. I'm almost there. So there is a commendable effort, by the government of Canada and provincial governments to support trade and exports. We have EDC, we have Global Affairs, and many other organizations at the national and the provincial level. But the main emphasis is on exporting, and really there are other international entry modes that are a priority as well for SMEs. Right, and partnerships play a fundamental role in the internationalization of innovative SMEs. So with this, I conclude this part of my presentation. And thank you again, Clotilde, for inviting me to show this, and thank you all for listening.
Fernando. So I think there's many data that can be highlighted here. And I must say that the first one I saw this data, I was very impressed that Europe was considering as a major partner for international, for SMEs. And we are talking about Alberta. So I'm personally very curious about the same study in Ontario or Quebec or in the East region, because definitely when you work between Europe and Canada, you can definitely see the connection between the East of Canada more than the West. So, and even though He was very, very impressed. And so among the data, what was mainly surprised us is we were expecting, oh, they were looking for funding. They were looking for funding. And that's not the first criteria. The first criteria they were desperately looking for is finding the partners. And so I will present few different people here we will have a conversation one by one, presenting what exists already either in Europe or in Canada to help the SMEs, to help the researcher to find their partners. Then please, I will let the floor to Brigitte Baron. Please, go ahead. You can take this.
Un grand merci à Clotilde pour tout ce que tu as fait pour coordonner ce panel ici. Et vraiment, ici, sur le podium, nous représentons une variété, diversity of backgrounds and people from various countries, various parts of Canada. I see even two people coming from the west of Canada, and people with very, very different backgrounds in terms of how they look at these data and look at these issues that we want to discuss here today. So I want to comment on some of the findings that Fernando has come up. I work for a small organization based in Edmonton, Alberta. We asked McEwan Business School to help us doing this study because we're just curious. We were changing from an organization that was handing out government money to support internationalization to an organization that was hoping to provide services. And we wanted to know what services were actually needed. And we were hoping to hear that from the stakeholders and from the companies, and indeed also more broadly from the innovation community in Alberta. And it was amazing what Fernando and team did. We had very limited resources. They had very limited resources. And I'm very, very grateful for all the goodwill and the fabulous collaboration. So for us, we couldn't have been more impressed and intrigued with the results from this study. I just provide a few comments, what we thought of as important and why we thought of it as important. And the first finding really is the fact that so many companies already in Alberta, and these were small and medium-sized, often very young companies, and so many, 65% of them already had built partnerships. That was really for us astounding. And background obviously is that the companies are smart. They know that typically as a technology-focused company, they produce a highly specialized product. Their market in Canada is limited because their products are typically very specialized. They need to look outside of Canada. Also, they know of the competitive pressures that they operate under. They know that they need to make the best of the resources they have. Their resources are often very limited, so they need to find methods to amplify their resources, and international collaboration can exactly do that. And also probably, and we find that they feel that need not to that desire not to reinvent the wheel and not to find the best possible solution for Alberta, but to find the best possible solution that is going to be attractive to people and convincing people all over the world. We have a huge number of really, really impressive stories of companies that told us what they did and how they did it. I'm super proud to say that we have also already companies in Alberta who participate in the Horizon Europe program in the third pillar by just creating a subsidiary in Germany and hence being eligible. There's one company that has achieved a grant of 90 million euro from the European Commission for geothermal technology, again by establishing a subsidiary in Germany. So there is that imagination, that willingness, that creativity in the companies. But then what are the issues? So the other important, and as Clotilde highlighted, Europe was by far not a second best solution. In fact, Europe in aggregate was the #1 partner for companies in Alberta. And there's a number of reasons and a number of aspects that we can discuss. I don't want to go too much into detail here, and we'll skip to the next one. Innovation, and we gave them, Fernando and team gave the respondents various various answers that they could choose from, what they were focusing their collaboration. It could have been trade, it could have been supply chains, it could have been capital attraction, talent attraction. It was, and you saw that by, vast majority, innovation plus technology development, which in essence are the same. So that the companies, again, they've been on the ball. They have seen and identified their needs and their opportunities. What we are concluding when we're seeing, dealing with the companies, that there's such complex opportunities out there. Companies need help with sorting through the information, getting access to where trends and developments are happening, and I think we should be more actively be able to reach out to companies and in intelligent and effective form distribute such information. Then another super interesting finding was that, and that almost shocked us, because obviously our focus is on partnership building, but I swear there was no bias or no influence coming from us to see that the most challenging aspect of that international outreach was finding the right partner, and that links in with sorting through the information. It's a small and medium-sized company, or frankly, even a university, and we increasingly now have university clients. It is very hard to interpret the global landscape, or only the landscape in Europe, to understand how to connect and how to find the best possible match. Through Horizon Europe, but also otherwise, there's any number of support systems. We, as ECCIR, we are administering the EEN, the Enterprise Europe Network, which is also an initiative of the European Commission. It's been about 20 years old. But much as Horizon Europe now, the EEN already reaches way out beyond the 27 member states. So there are over 60 participating countries, including the United States, India, South Korea, Japan, Brazil, you name it. And essentially, it is two things. It's a online platform for posting partnership requests, and they would come through us for quality control reasons. And there's a network of global agencies like us that are committed to helping each other with any number of requests for information or partnership building beyond what the platform can do. I would also like to highlight there's so much more information out there that could promote and help partnership building. And it is not to be expected that individual companies or individual researchers even can make sense of that. We should really pool the availability of those resources. For instance, as I know, CNS, UKRI, the German Research Council, DFG, they all have funding databases. So every single project that they fund goes into a database. So with those keywords, you can find relevant potential partners in Europe, in addition to all the other brokerage and partnership building opportunities that they are. And with Horizon Europe hopefully coming in in a more participatory way here to Canada, there's even specialized opportunities there. I also wanted to highlight and wanted to say that on behalf of Fernando, I think this has been a fabulous experience. It's been really exciting research that was delivered here, but we need this We need more of it. We need larger samples. We need Canada-wide approaches to analyzing these issues. We need a more detailed, in-depth ability to dig into the data, find out even more results. So this is really a plea for partners who might be interested in working with Fernando and team on delivering such new and broader and even more exciting projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Britta. You're done? Yeah, perfect. So, Britta, your organization connects SMEs between Canada and Europe. We also have in Canada a huge organization doing the same. We're talking about NRC. So please, Eric, I will ask you to present, if you don't mind, the mission you have with Eureka program, connecting also SMEs with SMEs between Canada and Europe. Thank you, Britta.
Thank you. Oh, merci. Merci. Oui, quelques petites pages ici. Alors oui, d'abord un contexte, le Conseil national de recherche du Canada, the Industrial Research Assistance Program will move soon to the Corporation for Innovation of Canada. That will happen during the year. But the same great service will be provided to Canadian enterprises. And we do focus mainly on the small and medium-sized enterprises up to 500 employees. So it's double the European normal standards for a small business. We can go quite big. But we also, in Eureka, serve the universities, the research centers, and the large firms that want to participate in those collaborative R&D projects. Alors, Eureka, c'est à peu près un peu plus que 45 pays, plus la Commission européenne, qui sont membres d'Eureka. Alors, le membership, c'est les pays, et représenté par des autorités nationales de financement, et dans le cas de la Belgique, des autorités régionales de financement. So one great feature of Eureka is that it adapts to local reality. So in the end, if you get funding for a Eureka project, it's not a Eureka funding contract. It's an NRC IRAP contract in Canada. It's a BPI France contract in France. So it does adapt to local realities. Eureka started, as I said, with mainly the European Union countries. It's the whole continent, pretty much. Plus the islands, so the UK is part of Eureka, Malta, Cyprus. It also has Turkey as a member, Israel is a member, and Canada and South Korea are members, and it has a few associate members, so it's still expanding, not very quickly, but it has a foothold in each continent. So I mentioned that one feature is that the funding is not centralized. So that's if people come to us and say, so are you part of Horizon Europe? No, not really. It's a different way of operating. The funding is really national. And in Canada, any organization may participate, but IRAP will fund only SMEs. The other partners can be funded still by other programs, or they can be contractors to Canadian participants, the SMEs that IRAP will fund. That is actually a good deal for universities because in those cases, they get funded 100% for the research and not 50% or some other number. And also it helps them to deliver on one of the missions, which is to transfer technology to industry. The one feature of Eureka project is that they have to be close to market projects. So the higher TRLs. And they also have to have this, by definition, then looking at benefits to the participants that are commercial. We also, so the question from that part of the panels is, what about funding partnerships? So yes, IRAP can do networking, can use its own reach to 200 organizations and our field officer on the ground to find partners, to companies that come to us from Europe or other partners, and help them to connect. But we also have partnership development activities. Some of those activities we do ourselves. We bring missions abroad. We collaborate very closely with Global Affairs Canada. Mais il y a aussi des événements organisés par Eureka. Alors, the ITIA cluster of Eureka, which is about intelligence software projects, has a yearly event. And in that event, it's really interesting differentiating that from other types of events that you may know of. So you know about scientific conferences where you will have researchers, you know trade shows where you will have the salespeople. The Eureka event in ITEA has the decision makers. Alors les CEO, les PDG de petites entreprises, les directeurs et directrices de recherche dans les grandes entreprises, also universities involved very closely with industry, they're the ones who participate to those events, and they go there specifically to find partners for projects that might be co-funded. The key word here is co-funded, and that brings the question of trust. When IRAP invests in a Canadian SME, we do a due diligence. Now, what happens if that company has a strategic partner abroad? We will not go and ask for that participant to show us their financial statements. However, we do rely on BPI France in France, in CDTI in Spain, in Innovate UK or in Swiss to have a look at their local participant to see if they're legit, to see if they have the capacity to do the projects. So that de-risks the project for us as an investor into the Canadian company. So it is a service provided through Eureka, the de-risking of those projects and the investment, which is key to make some level of partnerships work for our Canadian participants. I have a few contacts. You will have probably access to this material. We have a website where we list the calls for proposals that are co-funded through Eureka, Eurostars, which is an instrument within Eureka, 2 calls per year. Great instrument because all the funding is always grant type in all the countries. And you can register to have updates about what we post, and thus you don't need us to keep you aware of each call.
Merci beaucoup, Eric. Thank you very much. So, as you can see, international collaboration can connect companies together, but sometimes depending on the maturity of the company. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Depending on the maturity of the company, some company needs not necessarily a business partner. They need a research partner. And this is something that is actually happening pretty much often. I used to work for years with such programs. And for this, I would like to give you one of the many examples. You can find many organizations in Canada trying to connect companies, obviously within internally within the university. There is one program doing this job between Europe and Canada, and it's called Innovation. This program was launched by the French Embassy to Canada. So, je vais laisser peut-être Monsieur Miraillet rapidement expliquer justement ce rôle de Innovation, qui est donc un programme qui permet de connecter les experts académiques avec des entreprises.
C'est un programme modeste. C'est un programme modeste et comme vous l'avez dit, qui a été créé en 2020 et en collaboration étroite avec un de nos partenaires de choix qui est l'Université d'Ottawa. Et qui est aujourd'hui soutenu par le ministère canadien de l'Innovation, de la Science et du Développement économique. This program brings together innovative companies and researchers around one R&D project. Innovation acts as an intermediary platform. I mean, the program's originality lies essentially in its cross-fertilization. If the company is Canadian, the researcher is French and vice versa. And why this cross-fertilization is not always easy to manage? Let's put it bluntly like this, and you know what I'm talking about. It is also the main benefit of our tool. Several innovative companies have already received support through this program. I'd like to take the example of the French company Sensea, based in Grenoble, and specialized in underwater acoustics. I mean, this company worked with a researcher from the Université de Moncton as part of the Innovation program, and the relationship went so well that Sensea has since opened a branch in Canada. So innovation helps innovative companies to find partners for their development based on specific expertise and links with upstream research. I'm not telling you anything new when I say that universities are brimming with talent in sometimes highly specialized fields, but it's worth noting that the French universities have set up central departments dedicated to the valorization of research products. This organized showcasing of scientific and technological wealth goes a long way towards opening up universities to the world of business and society. And this is precisely the philosophy behind the recent creation of the Pôle Universitaire d'Innovation, University Poles of Innovation in France. And the advantage for companies of working with the Into Innovation programs are numerous. They can identify and even recruit young talents, enter into agreements with universities, develop new products and services, and so on. For universities, there are benefits too, particularly in terms of offering young graduates the chance to work in innovative companies. So following the workshop, for example, on ocean research and technology that we organized with our Canadian partners in Halifax very recently, we will shortly, for example, shortly be launching an Into Innovation thematic call for ocean tech projects. So, I mean, it's a very simple thing, one more time, quite efficient, I mean, in a difficult world, environment, but we need to give time to time, but it's working, and small but efficient. Very French.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. So once again, we cannot talk about scientific cooperation and between Europe and Canada without mentioning the cooperation between researchers, because we talk a lot about innovation for almost an hour, but obviously both of our continent wants to push also the fundamental research cooperations. And the researcher might have the same challenges, looking for funding, obviously, and looking for partners. And that's why I will ask you to give this to Derya. I will give the floor to Derya, which presents Araxis, the mission of Araxis North America.
Okay, thank you, Claude. Thank you, Clotilde. So I'm very excited and honored for being part of this esteemed panel. So we talked a lot about partners, how to find right partners. So I'm going to focus mostly about European perspective, how we are going to find partners, but related to your access portal and EU funding and tenders portal, Cordis portal. So these are kind of more practical side of how to find partners. So I will also talk about NCP networks and InfoDays. I think these tools and new resources would be very important for the Canadian researchers and also the organizations and universities to find partners because I'm the part of Euraccess North America, and we are very well known in the United States because we cover also the North American in Canada. But I think it's time to be more aware of Euraccess North America services, especially how we can help you find partners. So Euraccess is a European initiative to support researcher mobility and promote Europe as a research and living destination. And it is backed by the European Commission, member states, and also associated countries, consisting of free services, tools, and portals dedicated to researchers and who wish to connect with Europe and stay connected with Europe. So we have so many services that we can provide. So all the services are free of charge, and when you visit our website, you will see many services like job and funding opportunities, partnering and tool and hosting opportunities, career development, information assistance, and the international arm of Euraccess as Euraccess Worldwide. So the first one is Euraccess job portal. This is very important because when you go, you will see at least 10,000 job and funding opportunities in the website. So it's a great source for resources for researchers to go and search for job and funding vacancies, which would be really very useful for them. They just need to put their keywords, and then you can find which country, which field they really want to go and find some opportunities for them. The other very important part related to finding partners is partner portal. And this is also not a partner, also hosting portal. And when you click on the partnering part, you will see that individuals like researchers as well as the organizations and the universities which are really related to science and technology, they can register themselves. But the individuals, the researchers, can search for partners, but we all invite them to search the partnering the other organizations. But it is very important for the Canadian organizations or universities, they can register themselves so that the other organizations or individuals can search through this website. So it is really a kind of good portal so that you can both search for opportunities and also publish your hosting organization. It is also very important. Dr. Kavanagh will explain more about MSc and ERC grants under Horizon Europe. This platform is great for the universities to publish or organization their hosting opportunities. So the other, I think these numbers are very interesting to see how many researchers are registered. So it's around 30,000 registered researchers and plus more than 20,000 organizations registered as well. So it's a great database for you just to go and search. So this is something that it is ready, and all these, as I mentioned, job and funding part, they're all centrally managed. So it means that the European Commission gathered all these information and it's ready for you to reach out these opportunities. So we have 43 national Euraccess portals online. It's also a great opportunity for you just to go to these portals because they also provide you some information about the funding opportunities and also some practical information through services. Why this is 43? Because it also includes not only the EU member states, but also associated countries to the EU. So this is the other part which is really for the researchers especially. I can categorize them into three groups. If you want to if you are settling in, if you're working in, or if you're living from one country, I think you need all this practical information. This is not something about partner search, but it is just supporting the researchers who are really, doing their research. And this is the very basic practical information that you can reach out through our portal. And there are 18 topics from health to taxes, which is, I think, very important in the researcher's mind, that how we are going to find all of this information when we leave the country. So this is a great platform because there are more than 600 service centers in all over the European countries and associated countries, so that you can search and they will help you in terms of these practical aspects of your life. Both professional and individual, of course. And the international arm of Euraccess is Euraccess Worldwide, and we have 9 hubs in all over the world, from New Zealand to Korea, India, Latin America, and North America. We have 9. And I represent North America with my colleague Jackson Howard and I. We are based in Washington, D.C. So our core mandate is to link the researchers in North America, covering Canada and the US, with Europe. So if you want to connect with Europe, please come and ask for help. We will be very happy to help you. And you can also subscribe to our bi-monthly flash notes so that you can be updated with all of these information and funding and partnering opportunities. So this is the Horizon Europe program.
This will be my presentation.
Yeah, this is our main this year's mandate is especially providing Horizon Europe, but Dr. Kavanagh will very detailedly explain all these pillars, and then, but if you would like to reach out to us related to events, deadlines, just follow us. So these last 3 portals are very important. I will just go very quickly. This one is funding and tenders opportunities portal. It's a great portal because it's also centrally managed. And when you click on the search funding and tenders and click Horizon, in this presentation, I mostly focus on Horizon Europe project and the EU funding projects. So when you go there, you will see all the current and upcoming projects, project calls, which would be very helpful. Also the information about the projects. This is how we, I think, need to, what we need to know about how to participate. And this is the partner search part is very important because you can reach all the information about the organizations and the contact person information. So NCP is the last part is national contact points, which they are all very experienced people on different schemes of fundings, especially Horizon Europe, Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, and they organize events like brokerage events so that you can just follow us. And the European Commission organizes Horizon Europe Info Days, especially on Pillar 2, which the Canadian researchers might be more interested in the future. So these are the other MSA matchmaking platform, especially if you want to connect with other universities and networking events, it would be very useful for you. And these are some of the websites that might be useful also for the future. Thank you so much. Please scan our code so that you can just sign up to our flash notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daria. As you can see, Raxis North America offer many opportunities. So if you want to know more, just they're staying a little bit in Ottawa, and we're having an event in 2 days, and she will have more time to explain very deeply in details. But as you know, finding the partner, building the trust between whatever partners, we know it's important, but we're not going to lie, finding the funding, it's also very important. And so I will give the floor to Dr. Marie Kavanagh, who will present a huge funding program, Horizon Europe.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon. And I was smiling when I was listening to Daria because, as you could see, there are so many resources that actually you need a service like Your Access to help you to navigate all of the resources, to help you to find partners and all of the support that is available. So I strongly recommend that everybody here should sign up for Your Access because it's free and they serve you in easily digestible pieces of information regularly. All of this information about upcoming calls, about opportunities, etc. So a call out from me to definitely sign up for Your Access. Now, it's my pleasure to present to you very briefly, the European Union's framework programme for research and innovation. It is really one of the jewels in the crown of the European Union. At least that's what we think in DG Research and Innovation, obviously. But it's we call it a framework programme. And let me try to explain how it is, because many of you may not be familiar. It's a programme that has a 7-year perspective, and the European Union invests 95.5 billion euros over those 7 years. So a 7-year financial perspective is very unusual. Most places, most countries have an annual budgetary perspective. We're very lucky in that we have this 7-year perspective. The second thing I want to say about Horizon Europe is that it is open to the world. We in Europe have a global approach to research and innovation. It's a strategy whereby we really focus on internationalization, on being open, on encouraging international cooperation in research and innovation, on encouraging multilateralism, but of course always with a view to protecting Europe's interests, strategic assets, and Europe's values. So I have one slide, and this is the one slide, which is gives you a broad overview of everything that is contained in Horizon Europe, this 95.5 billion euro program. Horizon Europe is the 9th in a series of framework programs. So therefore, for many, many decades, we have had such framework programs. This is the 9th one. And they have always been international, but with every framework program, the international dimension has been increased. So obviously you could talk, it's a very big program, I could talk for easily 45 minutes, but I have a very short time. So I want to really focus in on two things. I want to focus in on Pillar 1, excellent science, and Pillar 2, global challenges. As you can see, Horizon Europe is really is structured around 3 pillars. One of the earlier panelists spoke briefly about Pillar 3. I won't go into it in much detail myself. But I'd like to focus on Pillars 1 and 2, because these are pillars where Canada is already very active. Pillar 1 is the pillar which we call excellent science. And I would like to talk very briefly about 2 major components. The first being Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, or Marie Curie actions for short, and the second being the European Research Council. The Marie Curie actions are very interesting and very, very international. There are, and in fact, Canada is very involved already in these Marie Curie actions in Pillar 1. The Marie Curie actions comprise several different actions. One is fellowships, global fellowships. So we offer fellowships to researchers from anywhere in the world who want to come and spend time working in Europe, in a European Union principal investigators lab or group. So therefore, Canadian researchers are very welcome, obviously, to apply for such grants, and if successful, to go and spend 2 or 3 years in a European group. Likewise, European researchers can apply to go to research institutions anywhere in the world. And there are currently 22 European researchers here in Canada, in Canadian research institutions with Marie Curie grants. So therefore, Canada can benefit either by sending researchers abroad for a few years or by receiving European researchers. So this is very important. The second very important aspect of Marie Curie is there are collaborative opportunities for Canadian institutions to participate in doctoral networks, whereby a consortium of research institutions work together to offer doctoral programs to researchers, or the staff exchange programs whereby a consortium of research institutions can come together around a specific topic, a specific project, to work together on that project. Each is funded by their own side. So the Canadian participants are financed by Canada, the Europeans by Europe. But the big benefit of these staff exchange programs is that staff at all levels, be they technical, professors, students, can move around between the partners in order to share experience, to share know-how, and to learn. So these are very important aspects of Marie Curie. The second part that I wanted to focus on in Pillar 1 is the aspect of the European Research Council. The European Research Council is probably for researchers at different stage of their career. But they're really aimed at researchers who are interested in establishing a research group in Europe. There are 3 types. There are those for starter grants, for those who are establishing their research group for the first time. There are those for researchers who are at a more advanced consolidator grants, and then there are for very advanced, the advanced grants. These grants are very prestigious, very generous. They're also competitive. But what's really interesting is they're open to any researcher from anywhere in the world. The only thing is that the research has to be really cutting edge, really frontier research, big risk, big potential impact. Both Marie Curie and European Research Council are completely bottom up. So the research can be in any area, any type of research, from the humanities, social sciences, economic sciences, chemistry, materials, any type of research. Then let me focus for a couple of minutes on Pillar 2. Pillar 2 is actually the largest part of the program. It has about 65% of the budget. It's a very big budget. And Pillar 2 is all about collaborative research. So in Pillar 2, individuals don't apply. In Pillar 2, consortia must apply. The consortia must include at least 3 partners, of whom at least one must be a member state, and the other 2 can be either European Union member states or countries associated to Horizon Europe. The other thing about Pillar 2 that differs from Pillar 1 is, whereas Pillar 1 is completely bottom-up, Pillar 2, the topics are pre-identified. So the areas where we're asking for research proposals are identified in the calls for proposals. Of course, the research consortia can apply with any research solutions they wish or any research approach they wish, but the topics are pre-identified. Pillar 2 has what we call 6 clusters. So always the research topics will come under one of these 6 clusters. The clusters are on the slide: health, culture, creativity and inclusive society, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, etc. Many of you will be aware that Canada is currently in negotiations with the European Union to become associated to Pillar 2. The negotiations are advancing, and obviously a lot of work has gone into them. We all hope that they will be successful, but nobody can take anything for granted. And if they are successful, Canada will become associated to Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. And for Pillar 1, things will remain the same. For Pillar 3, things will remain the same. Canada can still participate as they do now. If I have one more minute, I'd like to focus on, that's good. I would like to mention one other aspect of EU-Canada relations, and that is in the area I mentioned earlier about the importance for Europe of our principles and values in international cooperation. And as part of our global approach to research and innovation, the European Union launched last year a multilateral dialogue on values and principles in research and innovation. And Canada has been very active in this endeavor. And they were one of the countries that participated in the inaugural meeting last year. And since then, there have been a number of workshops. All of the reports of all of the workshops have been published on the international cooperation website of the European Union. And Canada in particular has been very active in co-organizing 2 of those on research integrity and on research excellence. And the reason that I want to focus on this is because it's a science policy conference, and it's just to highlight the importance that the European Union places on finding where are the shared, what are the shared experiences, but also what are the shared hopes and vision of the values and principles that we should all have in mind when we engage in international cooperation, and to try to develop together with the 50 countries who participate, and where Canada is particularly active, to try to develop together a shared vision of what we can all hope for and expect from one another. So on that, I would like to thank you very much for having the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kavanagh. I must tell you that working at the university, we are looking for these all the rumors around this agreement between Canada, because it's going to change a lot for researcher and our community. And that, I can see the time is flying. I would like to end this panel with you, Dr. Nemer, with a specific question regarding this eventual potential agreement between Canada and the European Union joining the reason how this agreement is going to change the Canada research landscape and our cooperation. Really a perspective point of view. Thank you.
Well, I'll be very brief. I, for one, have been looking forward to the end of the negotiations. I always hear they're going well. I just want to hear their ending, positively that is. Look, we talk about values and we talk about critical technologies and we talk about, putting in front of our researchers, partners, that we want them to work with. We can't just say you can't work with this and that and so on. And I think it's an incredibly important opportunity, both for Canada and the EU, to have this more structured, if I can say, collaboration. I mentioned there are already bilateral and sometimes multilateral collaborations, so we have a lot to work from and to expand. And you all know that, and allow me to brag a bit, that Canada is very strong in many of the areas of Pillar 2, whether we're talking about health, about technologies, quantum, AI, whether we're talking about climate, things that we need to work together to solve. So I think it's not too much to say that it will be a game changer, although it must be recognized that Canada is already very active in the program, but of course on a much smaller scale, since we're not an associate member. So I think it will be a great day and a lot of joys across the country, when we hear the positive conclusion of the negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your very closing remark. We have like 3-4 minutes, so please feel free if you want to ask any question, and obviously you will have additional time during the coffee break if you want to approach any of us for questions. I will ask, if you're shy, I will thank you all the panelists. As you can see, it was many points of view, because international cooperation, like I just said at the beginning, brings many different stakeholders, funding from the government, finding the partner, either you're looking for a business partner or a research partner. So thank you all, because some of you travel far away, either west of Canada or Europe. So I would really like to thank you. Thank you all, obviously, for listening. And feel free, please, if you have any question. We still have 2 minutes.
If I may, I don't know if that's working. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. Maybe to Dr. Nemer, if Canada joins the Horizon program, will that mean it's able to apply also under Pillar 1 for the ERC grants? Or is that a condition to the association of Canada with the European Union?
I think that for now we're talking about the association for Pillar 2. Of course, we have separate programs that can support, around Pillar 1, especially the fellowships and the doctoral exchange students. I think it's something in Pillar 1 that we would very much be looking forward to discussing eventually, once we finish with the 2, would be on the infrastructure side, because I think this is something that's increasingly important in terms of opening our large infrastructures to each other's, and we already have some access, but I think it's good to formalize things, but that's stage 2.
Do you think a full association of Canada to the European Union with the research space, like for instance Turkey, Israel, is out of the question, or is it something that can be envisioned?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I think we can also address this question.
Yes, I think so. I think it's better too.
My earpiece came undone. No, I just wanted to make it absolutely clear that for Pillar 1, for example, for the European Research Council, Canadian researchers can absolutely, right now, apply for ERC grants. There is no problem there. They can apply for ERC grants to go and establish a research team in Europe. They don't have to move to Europe full-time, although they're welcome to. There's the possibility to have hold a dual position, for example, if you want to have a foot in both camps. But absolutely, already now, as we are today, Canadian researchers can apply for ERC grants. And that is as a principal investigator. But there are also synergy grants, whereby a Canadian researcher can apply with one or two European researchers to in a very small consortium of just 3, and the Canadian researcher can stay in Canada. They don't have to move out of Canada at all, but they work together with these 2 European researchers, and those are fully funded by the European Research Council also. So there's quite a difference from that point of view between Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. Thank you.
Thank you, as you can see. Perfect timing. So please feel free to come and join us during the coffee break if you have additional questions. And once again, thank you all for being here today.